RNC Chair Reince Priebus. He joins us now from Washington. Mr. Chairman, thank you for joining us again today. So you just heard Kellyanne Conway right there saying they're going to be beefing up their cooperation with you. Do you believe that Donald Trump is now doing what it takes to change the trajectory of this race?
Yeah, I think I really do, George. I think he's had a great week. I think he's been on message. He's shown maturity as a candidate. I think that he's getting into a groove. I think he likes the new style that he's been out on the campaign trail producing and speaking of. So I think he's done great. And I think what you're going to see is these polls will begin to tighten in the next couple of weeks. And by Labor Day or thereafter, I think you're going to be back to an even race if we continue down this path.
Yeah, it can't happen too quickly. I think for a lot of Republicans getting nervous about whether he is going to be a drag on House and Senate candidates as well. In fact, about 110 of them have written an open letter to you saying, quote, every dollar spent by the RNC on Donald Trump's campaign is a dollar of donor money wasted on the losing effort of a candidate who has actively undermined the GOP at every turn. Your response?
Well, I think some of those folks are good people. I'm sure many of them are, but they don't understand what we do. So for everyone out there to understand, if we're in Ohio, we've got an important race for Senate and Rob Portman, and we've got an important race, obviously, for president with Donald Trump. Someone has to identify voters that we want to vote early and that we want to get an absentee ballot in their hands. And then we have to have a program to make sure that that absentee ballot actually gets into the box. So whether you're doing that work for the Senate or the president or a House race, that's what the Republican National Committee does, in part. What we have is most of these states that are in play for president are also important states for the Senate. So the work that we do on the ground and building data files, it's work that both a Senate race and a presidential race needs to have happen. That's what the RNC does. So there's no $50 million or $100 million put away for television. We don't buy TV. So it's not like taking $10 million away from one candidate and giving it to another. This is work to identify swing voters and Republican voters, make sure they're going to vote our direction, and then making sure they turn out either
but is it okay with you
or on election
day. But is
it
okay with you if those candidates, and we've already seen Senator Mark Kirk in Illinois repudiate Mr. Trump, is it okay with you if those candidates follow the path that the RNC Republicans followed back in 1996 when it looked like Bob Dole was losing the race, and they went out and said, it's time to elect us so that we don't give a blank check to Bill Clinton then, Hillary Clinton now?
Well, I think those people need a lesson on federal election law. So first of all, in regard to Mark Kirk, that's not a presidential battleground state, so that's a different deal. But back to your question, in 1996, there was soft corporate money coming into the political party. So DNC, RNC, back in 1996, could take millions of dollars from corporations and buy television ads. Well, some of those same people that signed that letter were the same people that took away the right for national parties to be able to have that money for television ads. So there is no soft money pass through the national parties that in October could mean the difference between $100 million to a Senate race or $100 million to a presidential. So this history lesson is great, but what you really have to look at is the election laws that allow national parties to pivot like that in October, and that doesn't exist.
Finally, you know, we had Kellyanne Conway just join us, campaign manager. Also, the new CEO, Steve Bannon, has taken a major role in the Trump campaign. He's been quite critical of the Republican leadership in Congress. Take a look.
They're not really interested in any type of reform. What they're interested in is be the junior partner in increasing statism. And there is a dedicated group of libertarians and grassroots conservatives and Tea Party conservatives and limited government conservatives that are here to destroy that.
Are you confident that he can be in charge of the kind of campaign that the Republican leadership, like Speaker Paul Ryan, are going to be comfortable with?
Well, first of all, I'm never happy with unearned criticisms of either the national parties or great leaders like Paul Ryan. But let me just say this. I think people can pivot into different roles. And ultimately, the person in charge of Donald Trump's campaign is Donald Trump. And so let me just say, the last few days, I think everyone has seen that we have a continued pathway that Donald Trump has been pursuing, which I think is much better for this campaign. I think he's doing great. I think he's on a great pathway to recalibrating the campaign and getting this thing tight. And obviously, you just saw Kellyanne Conway do, I think, a really fantastic job in pivoting and showing a direction to this campaign that we're going. And Donald Trump's been disciplined and mature, and I think he's going to get this thing back on track and also tight and ahead as we move through September.
Mr. Chairman, thanks for joining us this morning.
You bet. Thank you.